Welcome back to the program. So what I did not know was that the entire new releases section was just poof, gone. Apparently there was some type of cache problem, which is basically, well, not a cache problem, although that can be sometimes as well. But no, a cache as far as like, files or whatever. Anyway, something was wrong or corrupted and it started crashing the site. So they took down the new releases section and they're fixing it and putting it back up. So that's why I was kind of surprised, like, hey, where's all the commenters from the last show, especially the one with the El Salvador prisons? I was waiting for a whole bunch of feedback on that one. So I'll leave that up for a while. And, of course, if you want to add your comments to that, I thought it was a pretty interesting show. But hopefully it'll be back up. If it's not back up in time, then I will put tonight's show on the homepage, so you'll definitely get a show, but you won't be able to comment. But hopefully you will. Hopefully it'll be fixed in time anyway. So that's all I got for you. It wasn't an attack or anything. It was just kind of like a malfunction, I guess, according to what I was told. Okay, so TikTok. Good news on TikTok. The highest bidder for TikTok, the leading bidder, is a pro-Trump person, billionaire, from Wyoming. So I'm getting so darn close to getting on TikTok. I won't do it with the Chinese. I've already said I'm not going to do it with the Chinese. But the second that thing is being run by an American company, yes, I'm jumping on TikTok right away to grow my presence. I mean, think about it. In 2 months, I was able to gain 12,000 followers in 2 months on X, not being censored. So could you just imagine how much I'll do on TikTok when it's, American and not CCP controlled and all that. But anyway, so the guy's name is Reed Rasner. He is an entrepreneur and billionaire. He currently has the highest bid right now for TikTok, which is $47.45 billion. So that's really, really good news. Hopefully he steps up and he wins it, because he is definitely somebody that is very, very pro-Trump. Let's see here. Rasner, CEO of wealth management company Omnivest Financial, discussed his offer with NBC News on Thursday, saying the Trump administration has reviewed his bid. I think they're taking it very seriously for what it sounds like, Rasner said. There's no holding back. The money isn't the issue at all. Bringing all the pieces together is the issue. Rasner's bid is higher than even what Elon Musk paid for X. We're nearly $50 billion, $20 billion more than any bid out there. So we are indeed the highest bid on the table, Rasner said this week on Just the News. Not only that, we're delivering a massive 100-day win for President Trump by creating the Sovereign Wealth Fund. We are donating 5% of our TikTok bid and 5% of $50 billion to the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Under Rasner's plan, the platform will offer paid tiers, similar to the model that X implemented after Musk's purchase. So that's cool. He's a hardcore Trumper. He is an America First patriot. And he may be the new owner, hopefully, of TikTok. And if he is, yes, I'm going right on it right away. So, wanted to just share that with you. The other thing is, do you remember those idiots that used to hunt down, the left idiots, obviously. They used to hunt down January 6ers that were in the Capitol or around the Capitol on January 6th. And I guess they were called sedition hunters, they called us, or something. Anyway, there was a website, and they were working and tracking the people that were at January 6th and then sending them to Garland and the FBI and Christopher Wray's office, and then they were being arrested, right? Well, two can play at that game, folks, okay? Two can play at that game, and now there's a private conservative group out there that is doing something similar. What they are doing is they are tracking down face recognition and all that. Student protesters, that's right, on every single college campus for the last year or so. They are going through every single one of these campuses, every single one of the people that were at every one of these protests, and they have software that can actually even unmask somebody that's actually wearing a mask and just showing their eyes. they can still use that with facial recognition. And now they're sending that to the FBI and Kash Patel and to the Department of Justice and all that. Private group works to identify and report student protesters for possible deportation and prosecution. So that is really, really cool. I wanted to kind of let people know about that. And then there's this. Let's get back to the Autopen issue. I said when the Autopen issue came out, there was somebody that wouldn't give a name of who they said that they know who it is. But there was a lot of clues in what they said. And what this person said was, this person worked with the Obama administration, followed with, of course, the Biden fake administration. And, quote, she, not he, she is an absolute terror to work for. Every time she would walk into the room, everybody would be completely afraid of her and whether or not she was going to blow up on everybody. So I said, okay, we know it's not a dude, right? We know that it's a female. And I started just kind of going through the process of elimination. And I said publicly, I believe it's Neera Tandon, right? You remember? I even said it on a Full Throttle Thursday show. I can't remember if it was on the air or if it was after when we were talking, but I did say it. Well, guess what? I am correct. That is who the Autopen caper is. Neera Tandon. Who is Neera Tandon? Well, she worked in the first Obama, administration. She was part of the Russia collusion garbage. Her name shows up prominently connected with Hillary Clinton and the State Department. She also was part of WikiLeaks' Vault 7 release. She also did the sabotage, if you want to call it, and the destruction of Bernie Sanders' nomination when Hillary was running against Bernie, for the nomination back then. She was also part of Ukraine and the Ukraine impeachment garbage and all that. And of course, she also worked with the fraudulent Biden regime. And not only did she work for the Biden regime, she was close to Jill, but more importantly, she's the Autopen person, okay? She's the Autopen person. Listen to this. While the dramatic street theater of Representatives Eric Swallowswell, Senator Adam Schiff for brains, here you go, had to do that for you, buddy, and Senator Mark Warner, the contrived street theater, have two desired effects. First, some of these Democratic members of Congress were deluding themselves that they finally had an issue to stop getting crushed by President Trump with, and a growing measure of the American electorate. However, those on the blue team that are clearly thinking now that they have a much larger issue in play, which is not Signalgate, which again is all noise and no signal, it's Autopen Gate. And trust me, it's coming, okay? The second issue is the real issue for these blue hystericals. They are using chaff and flares to divert attention from the Autopen scandal. Autopen Gate, as we'll call it, represents a distinct manifestation of a constitutional crisis. The entire set of Biden committee members that ran the executive branch during the era of number 46 are culpable in a criminal RICO situation conspiracy case. And this is to evade the 25th Amendment and the requirement for a, quote, wet signature from the, quote, competent and cognizant president, which we know he was not. They performed this conspiracy to lie to the American people, mislead Congress, and to hide his cognitive abilities as the commander-in-chief. President Trump is in his full right to challenge every single document that was auto-penned by this Biden committee, but in particular, Neera Tandon. This means potentially that much of what was done during the era of the Biden committee can now be undone through the courts. This includes all of the pardons, just like we said, all of the executive orders, and all congressional legislation that was auto-penned into enactment. Enactment is a fancy way of saying signed by the president, which of course was not really a president. There are indicators that it was White House Staff Secretary Neera Tanden. When I make a prediction, folks, you can put it in the bank, okay? I said that before this came out. And the reason I did is it was process of elimination. It could have been only 3 people that would have had that power. Valerie Jarrett, but it wasn't her. Why? Because the Obamas and the Bidens are at each other's throats, so I took her out of the equation. It probably wasn't going to be Jill because that would have been too close for comfort there. And the only 2 it could have been would have been Neera Tanden or Victoria Nuland from the State Department. And I figured, well, it's got to be Neera because she is known as one vicious, vicious woman. So that's who I picked, and apparently I'm right. And that's what we're going to find out. The Oversight Committee project did an excellent analysis of the Autopen Gate. This is a very serious matter and cannot be trivialized as much as the left would like it to be. Lightly dismissed or a faux fact check away. Their beginning statement explains the gravity of this situation. According to the Oversight Project, quote, the United States Constitution vests numerous powers in one man, and one man alone. The President of the United States. These powers include signing or vetoing bills and legislation, resolutions, or certain legislative votes, nominating and, of course, commissioning officers, and granting reprieves and pardons. In all of these instances, the President's personal action is required. Now, let me stop there for 1 second. I spoke with, well, I should say text message with, I didn't speak on the phone, texting back and forth with Alan Dershowitz. And I asked him point blank, I said, Alan, is this Autopen thing something that can go to the Supreme Court and be challenged? And he wrote back, yes, it can. And I said, okay, do you think it would win? And he said, yes. And I said, well, why? And he said, very simple. Because exactly what this says, the person, meaning the President of the United States, has to sign a pardon. They have to sign an executive order. They have to sign, a reprieve or any other type of thing, including a bill or legislation. You can't auto-sign an executive order or a pardon or legislation or a bill or anything like that. So what does that mean? That means that if we can get this to the Supreme Court, and pretty much I can assure you that Roberts and the other idiots are not going to take this case right away. They're going to go, nah, let it sit. Let it go to the lower court first, right? Let them take a stab at it. This is how they operate. So they can stall and stall and stall. So it goes to the next court. Maybe we get lucky. Maybe we don't. Doesn't matter. Once they take a stab at it, then it can be appealed to the Supreme Court. And eventually, yes, they're going to have to take the case. But will they take the case before 2026 or 2027? You know what I mean? This is where this scumbag John Roberts comes in, this Trump-hating dirtbag. I don't know. Maybe it'll happen faster. But right now, President Trump has, I think, 2 or 3 immediate ex parte petitions to the Supreme Court right now. And so far, he hasn't taken any of them. And one of them's for the Alien Enemies Act. So who knows? See what happens. But then it says here that that is required, just as Dershowitz told me, that he shall perform those actions. These are mandated and are exclusive to the President of the United States. Therefore, it is well established that the President of the United States cannot delegate these decisions to anyone, not even his Vice President. The President must affix his wet signature not only to signify consent, but to show the legality of this required act. Why do you think President Trump signs, he signs all these executive orders and he holds them up and he goes, oh, look everyone, because it's a wet signature. It's live, it's real, it's in real time. He signed it right there, sitting there. Biden didn't do that. He didn't sign anything in front of a camera in 4 years. At least I don't think he did. So again, all these things that they did behind the scenes, Biden was crapping his diaper and drooling while they were signing away our rights and freedoms. Okay? So it needs to go to the Supreme Court, because if it does, we can undo the last 4 terrible years. Get rid of all that shit. The Inflation Reduction Act, all that garbage. Every single thing he ever did. Anything he had his signature on. If we can prove that it wasn't his signature and it was an Autopen, it's over. They'll nullify it. That's what they do. Because it has to be the President of the United States. And if we can prove through handwriting analysis, forensic analysis, everything else that it's not, well, then that's going to be a major problem, which is why we are in a constitutional crisis, because of the stolen election and what they did. You see, when you steal an election, it's not just the election that suffers. It's the people, it's everything else. It's the people that work in that cabinet, because now they're all illegitimate. How many times in 2020 and 2021 I called it the illegitimate cabinet with the illegitimate cabinet members, right? I said it all the time because I wanted to drill it into everyone's head that what we are witnessing is a coup and fake. And I never deviated, ever, from that position. And now the fruits of that labor are now showing in the fact that not only was I right, but many of us were right. We all knew that the election was stolen. Hell, Helen Keller, Stevie Wonder, any of them could have been able to seen that. So I wanted to point that out. Now, real quick, good news from the courts, believe it or not. And again, it's what I said was going to happen. These district judges, they come out, these left-wing scumbags, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. Okay, then we do an immediate appeal to the next court, and then they go, breaking, appeals court sides with President Trump, clears the way for him to fire members of the Labor Merit Systems Board, and yes, you can have your payouts. So in other words, all those people that were fired in the federal government are going to be gone. All right, and the court allowed that to go through. The next thing was this. Again, they came through again. Fourth Circuit delivers crushing blow to the left's lawfare, grants the emergency stay, protecting Elon Musk, protecting Doge, and the government efficiency mission from USAID operation. Meaning, USAID can close and all the people involved are all going to be fired. So Bursberg, you can sit on this and rotate, okay? Because you've already been defeated. Now, the other one was this. Carrie Lake is cleaning house at Voice of America. She is getting ready to, U.S. Agency for Global Media Advisor Carrie Lake offers buyout for USAGM employees as mass firings loom. We are talking 10,000 people that are going to get fired by Carrie Lake at Voice of America. So, I wanted to point out some of those things because you're hearing all these left-wing radical judges and you think they're winning and they're stopping us and everything else. Yeah, they are, temporarily. But in the end, we're going to get them all. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.